everybody. This is Bill Parliament, VP of Digital Marketing with Stream Companies. Very happy to have you this afternoon for today's webinar titled Everything You Wanted to Know About Digital Marketing But Were Afraid to Ask. We're very excited to hold this webinar today because it really gives everyone a chance to be interactive, to ask the questions that maybe you would love to know the answer to, but weren't sure who to ask, or if you had actually an expert in the room to answer the question. In today's webinar, we have really the entire digital marketing team here at Stream Companies, myself, Amal, Brock, Sarah, Julia, Kelly, and Alex, all ready to answer your questions and to answer some of their more frequently asked questions. So without any further ado, let's get started. So again, we just mentioned the presenters. My name is Bill Parliament. I'm the VP of Digital Marketing here at Stream Companies. I oversee all the digital marketing initiatives here. I have Amal. Amal, introduce yourself.
Hey everyone, my name is Amal Wishampine. I'm a Digital Creative Director here at Stream Companies.
And Brock?
Yes, my name is Brock. I am the Director of Digital Advertising, overseeing paid search, display, digital video.
And Sarah, bottom left on your screen is Sarah. So go ahead, Sarah.
My name is Sarah DeAndre. I'm the Director of Inbound and Content Marketing here at Stream Companies, and I oversee our content marketing team.
Julia?
Hi, I'm Julia Jacoboni. I'm Director of Social Media Marketing at Stream Companies, and I work with our social team to handle all of our social platforms.
Kelly Ayers?
Hi, my name's Kelly. I'm the Director of Search Engine Optimization at Stream Companies, managing all of our SEO efforts here at Stream.
And Alex?
My name is Alex Givo. I'm the Director of Digital Marketing and Web Merchandising, and I make sure our websites perform to the best of their ability.
Awesome. So before we get started, if you guys would love to share this information about our webinar, anything that you learned, or if you have any questions after the webinar, feel free to go to Twitter and tweet us at Stream Companies, or and use the hashtag Streaminar, STREAMINAR. After the webinar, we'll look for any questions, etc., and we'll be happy to get back to you. So feel free to share this information on your Twitter account or Facebook. Our Facebook is /StreamCo. So some housekeeping notes, please make sure you use the chat pad for all of your questions. We will follow up with any unanswered questions immediately after the webinar, so feel free to reach out either through email or through Twitter, and we'll show you where exactly to get the information and the any questions that you have, or we'll show you how to get help to any of the information after the webinar, and we will send out a replay link to the webinar. So this is being recorded. As long as everything goes well, we'll have a recorded webinar and we'll put it up on our site. And speaking, this is a webinar, so from time to time, GoToWebinar can freeze up and cause a problem. We don't expect any problems, but if we have any internet issues or GoToWebinar issues, we'll make sure to send out a note for a replay or to a recording of the webinar. So today's agenda, first we're going to go over some paid search and digital advertising questions. Then we're going to go over some SEO questions, social media, content marketing, digital merchandising, and then finally integrated digital marketing with a Q&A follow-up. But before we do that, I'm just going to check to see if there are any questions in the chat pad. I do not see any questions currently, but we did get a question from Douglas Henderson Jr., and Douglas is from iHeartMedia, and one of his questions is, what does a successful media campaign look like? How do you measure success? Digital media campaign, and how do you measure success? So I'll take this one first. I think a successful digital marketing campaign is integrated. Really, at the end of the day, you want to make sure that you're combining all of the different tactics, whether it's SEO, paid search, social media, web merchandising, conversion rate optimization, and you integrate those tactics into one powerful digital marketing campaign. I also think it's important that you integrate your digital with whatever you're doing from a traditional standpoint. So if you're running television and radio ads, you want to make sure that what you're doing on your website and what you're doing from your digital advertising standpoint actually meshes. You want to make sure that you have a consistent message across your digital and your traditional channels. So I think that's very important. And how do you measure success? You know, one way that we measure success here at Stream Companies is using Google Analytics. I think at the end of the day, our number one goal as digital marketers, as marketers in general, is to generate new leads for our clients and customers. We want to give you an opportunity to do business. So yeah, it's about driving traffic, but I always say traffic means nothing if it doesn't convert. So what we want to do is, you know, are we generating more traffic? Great. And are we generating more leads from our website? That's really how we want to measure success. And is your business growing? So I think to answer the question, how do you measure success? I think it all starts in the beginning of the campaign, having an understanding of what the client's goals are. What do you hope to accomplish? What are your KPIs or your key performance indicators? And then once you have a baseline for those KPIs, are we moving the needle? Are things improving from where we started? So that's how I would answer this question. Again, integration, not doing digital marketing tactics in a silo, integrating them all together to have a robust digital marketing campaign, and then to measure success using analytics tools like Google Analytics and understanding what your KPIs are in order to know whether or not you're actually growing your business and getting it to where it needs to be. The next question is, you know, what's the next big thing in digital marketing on the horizon? You know, I don't know, does anybody here have, you know, their thoughts on what the next big thing might be on the horizon for digital marketing? I mean, I know for me, I always think about mobile. We're seeing, you know, 50, 60% of the traffic coming into our client site coming from mobile devices. I hate to say that having a mobile-friendly website is the next big thing, but, you know, in a world where some businesses still do not have websites, much less a mobile-friendly website, I think making sure that you're buttoned up from a mobile standpoint. I know from an SEO standpoint, Google's going to be rolling out some mobile algorithm updates. So you need to make sure that your site is mobile friendly. I also think from a social media standpoint, honestly, I haven't seen this much opportunity in digital marketing through social with all of the things that Facebook's allowing you to do with their ads. And I think Julia will be talking about some of that, but really being able to hyper-focus your paid search and your paid advertising based on user behavior, not just kind of like their likes. Anybody else have anything they want to add to that?
Yeah, in addition to mobile, and this has been a consistent conversation just over the past few years, but really defining ROI for both traditional and digital marketing efforts. Some businesses are definitely getting close, but I think that will become more of a defined expectation in the near future.
Great. Okay, so let's move on to the set of questions. So we're going to turn this over to Brock, and we do not have any other questions in the type pad. So we do have 27 people on the webinar, so that's awesome. I'm glad to see so many people showing up on the webinar. But again, if you have any questions, feel free to ask them in the chat pad. So without any further ado, let's turn it over to Brock.
Thanks, Bill. So just want to address some of the common questions we've been hearing over the last quarter with paid search and digital advertising in general. So one that we hear all the time is competitive, especially if we see how competitive is the market, should I be concerned about it? Upwards of 50 to 80% for some clients, and also in the industry in general. This isn't just us, but the industry as a focus. So I think more importantly now than ever, I'm not saying that paid search is a medium to get out of necessarily. I'm just I think you need to really look at your analytics. You really need to look at where you're serving your traffic and really set strategic goals each month and each quarter in paid search in order to, you know your costs may likely go up with the competitors that come into the market and how actively they bid. So it's just more important than ever to make sure you have the right mix of strategy and optimization each month. What are the latest growth opportunities for PPC? We see this a lot as well. As Bill said, mobile is very big, but actually over 2014 we saw a lot of increases in mobile. And we've actually seen before, maybe 2 or 3 years ago, when mobile costs per clicks were a lot lower, they've actually caught up to desktop now. So it's just a competitive marketplace. I would say for growth opportunities, in particular in paid search, one is you got to remember Bing and Yahoo is very competitive in their marketplace. They still hold 25% of the search network, so taking advantage of those for incremental traffic. Usually we see lower cost per clicks in that area. Also is language targeting. So if you're in a geographic area that usually a lot of people focus just on English, but if you're in areas where there's maybe strong Spanish, maybe other languages that are popular in your geographic region, we definitely recommend testing with that. We've seen a lot lower cost per clicks with those. Obviously, you have to be able to have salespeople and websites that could support these languages potentially, but those are really the areas that I see where you can still get in the game and have lower costs. The right mix of display and PPC. This really depends on, going back to the first question, what your overall goals are as a marketer and as a business. If you have new products or you're a new business to the whole industry, I think having a good amount of display included is something that you need to utilize. Display in YouTube, pre-roll as well, because at the end of the day, people may not be searching for your certain product or service. You may need to kind of invent that scope, invent that type of product offering, and get your name out there with display, and let people know that you're in the industry and that you're out there. You can still be very targeted with display, and the targeting capabilities are getting more granular every year and every month almost. So that's a good idea. I know Amal and Julia, they'll touch on Facebook then, but you know, think of the new products you've seen over the last few years in Facebook, like Harry's, for example. You know, they weren't really known until they started advertising in Facebook. So that's a good example of, you know, you'll need the right mix of both, depending on where you're at, kind of in the marketing stage and in your business goals. So what's new within the digital advertising landscape in 2015? I think one thing we've seen that's grown a lot, especially in paid search, is the changes Google is making to their display network buying options. They have a lot more middle to lower funnel options to purchase off of. So for example, they have what's called in-market segments now, where Google will take a look at maybe search and interactivity amongst the web for a certain user. And if they've done things in their search history or on social media or in email that qualify them as someone in market to buy something, you can actually go after them and use that as a segment in your advertising. So I think display, there's a lot of growth opportunity there. And I think we're going to see the way that you can advertise to people, the way that you can reach them, and how you target them is going to be evolving a lot over the next year. Bill touched on this earlier, but yeah, mobile is completely, I mean, the year of mobile was years ago. We're seeing mobile equal or maybe just less amount of desktop visits to websites. And it's something you want to take advantage of, but you also want to be able to look at it in its own segment. Looking at what metrics are important to you from a mobile standpoint versus desktop. Mobile is here, it's not going anywhere. More and more people each year are buying more mobile devices than they are PCs and laptops. So you need to make it part of your strategy, but you also need to recognize that the user is different on a mobile perspective than on a desktop.
Awesome. So does anybody just check in to make sure any other questions? If there's no questions about paid search, we're going to move on to SEO. So I just want to make sure we got a lot of people in today's webinar. It's very exciting. Just want to make sure that we give everybody an opportunity to ask questions. Again, remember, if you want to ask any questions at all, feel free to type it in the type pad, and we will answer your question before these prepared questions. Okay, I don't see any more questions, so let's go to Kelly Ayers with SEO.
All right. Just to continue the discussion on mobile, when it comes to an algorithm standpoint and an organic point of view, we want to focus on specifically, what does the mobile algorithm change mean for my ranking? If you're not familiar, the mobile algorithm that's going to be rolled out on April 21st is basically going to help websites rank in mobile search that are mobile friendly. So if you have a responsive site or if you have a well-optimized mobile site, this is going to be great for you. If you don't, this is where you might want to start looking to optimize for those. Specifically, this algorithm is going to label search results based on their mobile friendliness. So how your site responds to mobile searches, whether your site is directed to the actual page as opposed to everything just rerouting to the home page. All of these factors play into how your site is going to rank when people are searching on mobile. This is specifically important as well for local businesses. We know that people do a lot of their shopping online and they do a lot of their shopping while out in the world and on their mobile. You want to make sure that you're showing up for your key terms and that your website is mobile friendly so that Google is ranking you for that. So specifically the mobile algorithm that's coming out, if you have a mobile-friendly site, that's going to help your rankings. But if you don't, you might want to start looking into optimizing for that.
And this is Bill. And one thing that you guys will see is when you're doing your own searches on your mobile phone, you notice now that Google says when you look on your mobile phone and you look at the search results, it'll say mobile-friendly in bold. So it's really pushing mobile because most people want to look at a mobile-friendly site as opposed to a site that's not mobile-friendly. And the one thing about the algorithm we originally thought was going to be a site-wide problem, but Google has said it's only going to affect the pages that are not mobile-friendly. So if you have a mobile site that's not 100% mobile-friendly, only the pages that are not mobile-friendly will be affected by this algorithm. Otherwise, your top pages that are mobile-friendly will be okay.
So something that we get asked a lot, specifically the focus that we have on link building, is how has it changed over the last few years? A lot for local SEO, but just in general, link building used to be very easy for people who wanted to build a quick link profile and start ranking and start driving their domain authority. You could use link networks, you could build directory listings, you could do a lot of spammy tactics that don't necessarily work anymore with the rollout of Google Penguin's algorithm, which specifically targets bad or low quality links. So specifically for local SEO, link building has changed in that now we can use local sites and local blogs and really target those local businesses for more of a PR and link building strategy. So instead of just reaching out to directories and adding our sites manually, we can use the content on our site to do outreach to local bloggers, local businesses, featuring them in articles about top 10 places to stay in your area, and making that content something that they actually want to link back to. This helps a lot with your PR in general because it builds more of a community aspect, but that's going to help your link building profile overall. When Google sees that you have sites linking to you that are relevant as well as local, they're considering those good sites and they're considering those quality backlinks. That's where we really want to focus from a local SEO standpoint because link building has changed so much that everything is being optimized and everything is being monitored, and you want to make sure that anything that's linking to your site has a reason to be. So what's the impact of not provided? Something that we've had people reach out to us about is this not provided that they're seeing within their Google Analytics data. If you're seeing this as well, you know that Google has implemented not provided over the past couple years or so, making sure that we can't see any of the keywords that are driving traffic to your site. From an encryption standpoint, in the search results, we can't really see people what keywords people are typing in to drive traffic to your site. And this is really, hindering our ability to, see what people are searching for and optimize that way. So from an SEO standpoint, we can't really take those keywords directly out of the data. and we can't see how people are arriving at our site and what search terms they're using. Unfortunately, this is just something that we have to work with within Google. It's not something that's really going to be reversed in the next couple years, but there are ways around not provided. We don't see the data coming to our site, but we know that we can really refine our keyword targeting strategy at this point by building pieces of content that are specific to phrases or terms that we want to rank for. So you know if you're driving traffic to a page, which we can still see for now in analytics, we know that we're seeing traffic to that page increase, then they're most likely coming from a specific keyword term that we're ranking for.
The other way you can do it is within Google Webmaster Tools. There's a place, if you got Webmaster Tools and connect it to Analytics, you can see search queries in your Google Webmaster Tools. So make sure you check that out.
So what's the best way to cope with Google's updates? Something that we've seen, especially jumping on this mobile algorithm change as well as the link building update change, how do you deal with Google changing things all the time? For SEO, we want to make sure that we're doing things right off the bat in a great way. You're producing great content, you're building great links, or you're organically attracting great links for your content. You're optimizing your local profiles, whether it be Google+, Yahoo, Yelp, and we're just making sure that our sites are mobile friendly as well. So the best way really to deal with anything that Google comes up with is just to do things right from the beginning. So making sure that you're not keyword stuffing, making sure that you're optimizing on a page basis for your keywords, and then just making sure that your links are completely relevant and you're not doing anything that Google would target as spammy. The best thing that I can say is better safe than sorry at this point. And finally, the last question that we have here, and this is something that I get a lot on my side, is how do you respond to the claim that SEO is dead? There are thousands and thousands of articles if you Google SEO is dead, and the reason that people are putting these out, you know, not just to get page views, but also because they claim that SEO is dead in general. Google is changing everything to make you put more money in AdWords. None of these things are necessarily true. The claim that SEO is dead is more properly said that SEO is changing. The way SEO used to be, similar to how you used to build links in a very spammy way, you could keyword target, you could keyword stuff your pages, you could create content that's irrelevant to your business. These days, SEO is very much more like PR, digital public relations. So you want to get content and you want to get links and you want to get attention to your site in a natural way that enhances your user experience. So you want people arriving on your site to get the best research, the best information, and you want to involve your community as well. That's really how SEO has evolved over the last couple years, and that's really how it's going to keep evolving. I don't see a point in the future where SEO is just going to cease to exist.
Awesome stuff, Kel. Thank you. Okay, we still don't have any questions, so we're going to keep going, and now we're going to turn it over to Julia to answer all your questions on social media.
All of your questions.
All of your fun questions.
Okay, so this one seems to be the question of the year. I feel like every client we talk to brings up dark posts, promoted posts, and boost posts, which are three different things. So I want to just kind of separate what they do, each of them, and why you should use them and why you shouldn't use them. So when you post something on your page, as you know, if it's a photo, if it's a link, if it's you know, a status, whatever, it's a post, and we all know that. But you can boost it or promote it by putting money behind it. Boosting it means you don't want to spend a lot of time promoting it. So you want to just click it and go. So you click the little blue button and you put in how much money you want to spend, you know, $20, and then it goes out to the people who are fans of your page and also their friends, and possibly a little bit more, maybe 25 miles outside of your area, and that's it. It's very simple. It's done in 2 clicks. But if you want to target something more specifically, like you're posting about a sale and you want to target it to moms of toddlers, and you want to send people to your e-commerce page specifically, that means you want to get a little bit more granular. You want to make sure that you're not going to women who have children who are in college or people that aren't parents. So this takes a little bit more effort, and you have to be a bit more specific, so you want to promote it. And that's like a boost post, but it's on steroids. You go through Facebook's Ad Manager, you take maybe 15 minutes and pick through targeting options, which they're plentiful on Facebook's ad platform, and then you designate where you want it to go. You can do this for posts that you really want people to see. Maybe it's a happy customer, maybe it's a new product, maybe it's a new blog, whatever you want to promote and you need to get it out to more people than just your fan base, you want to boost it or promote it. If you're putting money behind it to show it to an audience outside of Facebook, then it's referred to as a boosted or promoted post. So that's what it means. But what a dark post is a post that doesn't live on your timeline. It lives on news feeds out there on social, on Facebook. It's served to random people. But if they click through and look at your Facebook profile, they won't see it. What it does is it kind of segments out a new type of audience. It reels in people that you're not typically serving ads to. And it also has a very specific and unique message. So if you want to target only college graduates, and you're trying to recruit them to work for your company, you wouldn't serve that to people on your page or people that are too old for an entry-level position. You'd pick a target post or a target segment of an audience, and then you'd make a dark post so that it only goes out to people that are supposed to see it. And not to be confusing, but dark posts can also be promoted. So that's, that's pretty much how they're all broken down. How can I track ROI on my social ad campaigns? A lot of people want to know, is there a purpose to it? How do I find value in this? I think of social ads as a constant reminder, as a billboard. Everyone that's on their phone is looking at an ad at some point in their time on there. And every commercial break that comes on when they're watching TV, they're on their phone. Every night before they go to bed, they're on their phone. And even when they wake up. So being on social and advertising on there means everything. But to track ROI, it comes from the beginning. You need to decide what your end goal is. If you know what you're trying to do, if you're trying to drive engagement, if you're trying to gain exposure or more impressions and be seen by more people, maybe it's clicks, maybe it's conversions. Social ads provide a variety of objectives that clearly lay out how you can promote something and the end result that you will get. So if you really want to get people to your site, social ads will allow you to pick that avenue and get the biggest bang for your buck. It's all depending on what you want to do. So then I'd also check the industry standards depending on what you're advertising on. So check the click-through rate for Twitter, check the click-through rate for Facebook depending on your industry. Different industries have different prices. I know that healthcare and education typically run more expensive depending or compared to children's industries or toys or something like that. So you want to make sure that you're falling in line and you have reasonable goals at the end of it. And also you want to make sure you establish goals in analytics, and of course remember the power of the tracking pixel. Conversion pixels are available to you within Facebook Ads Manager. You place them on the checkout page of your e-com site or the thank you page on your form submissions, and that can automatically register as a conversion on your Facebook campaigns directly from that dashboard. How can I get more traction with my social content and strategy? Well, this is a little broad. There are a few key ingredients to this. I really feel, and I'm sure that every person will say this, that devoting time and a little bit of budget to your ad campaign will do wonders. You will see instant results. You'll see an increase in engagement, impressions, traction, clicks, conversions across the board. Organic reach, even Facebook will say it, is a bonus. It's a cherry on top. So you really need to pay for the amount of eyes that are on your page and on your content. The next piece of the puzzle would be to gather unique content. So make sure that you're not posting just junk or overly wordy images, stock images, uninteresting things that don't relate to your brand or your business, as well as fickle giveaways that have nothing to do with what you do. So you can give away an iPad, but make sure that people have to do something related to you in order to enter to win, whether it be, use one of your recipes or take a picture in front of one of your stores, whatever. And then again, this all ties back to being unique. You want to make sure that you're showcasing your brand and your personality and why you're different from everyone else. Anyone can post things on a Facebook page and have them be, general or just kind of fall in line with everything else. Don't do what everyone else does. Show the personality behind your coworkers, behind your dealership, behind your brand. which social channel gives me the best options to advertise on? So again, it all depends on what you actually want to promote and who you want to promote it to. So there's different age demographics on these platforms, and they're all meant for something else. So when you think about Twitter, it's constant, it's quick, it also has a huge audience to engage with, but it's so fast that it can easily be overlooked, and it's also not necessarily the most accurate of data compared to Facebook. Facebook, of course, has the most data. It's the oldest social platform, or it's been around the longest. I don't think you can run ads on MySpace, but if you could, I'd highly recommend you don't do that. But it has the most info. I mean, if you've been on Facebook for 10 years, and it is 10 years old, everything that you talked about 10 years ago is still there. So it knows how old you are. It knows where you live or where you used to live or what kind of car you've driven. It has access to all that data, so that's probably your best bet. Again, social advertising is inexpensive relatively. It's easy to get started compared to other avenues, and you can control and edit your campaigns day to day. Finally, the last one would be LinkedIn, which is great for B2B. It's great for recruitment, and it's great for networking your business. Your company should have a presence on all of them, but what you should use them for could vary depending on what actually your product is and what your end result is. And why should I consider social ads as part of my marketing approach? Because, as I said, organic reach is a thing of the past. Facebook doesn't recommend that you rely on that alone unless you're, you know, the Coca-Colas of the world or the Nikes. They have a brand that's been established for years and years and years. They don't have to worry about that. But when there's so many other companies out there on social, you really need to make your voice heard. Social is inexpensive, as I said. It's easy to get started. You can target specifically who you want to talk to, and you can track your results from start to finish, and you can easily integrate it with any other campaigns you're doing, traditional or digital. So it's probably your best bet when it comes to spending a small budget and getting a lot of results.
Thank you very much, Julia.
Yep.
And now we're moving to Sarah DeAndre and content marketing.
Thank you. So one of the most common questions we get from clients or prospective clients who are either currently working on their content strategy or looking for a content strategy firm or marketing agency to execute these tactics for them is, I need a content strategy for my business, but I don't know where to start. Content strategy is really built on these three main elements that can get very granular, but this is really the best place to start. First and foremost, we want to define our goals. So what exactly are we looking to do with the content we produce, whether it's blogs or ebooks or videos or infographics? Do we want to generate traffic and leads, or do we want to increase our brand awareness and thought leadership? Or for companies within the software industry, maybe you're trying to enhance your customer service by providing the most common questions on your website. It's really critical that we define these objectives up front so we can measure them over time. Second is to define your audience. So who exactly are we talking to? What are their interests, pains, and problems? And then aligning the buying funnels to these different audiences that you have. So when somebody comes to your website, we never know really where they are in the buying process. So how can we create content that aligns with their needs, pains, or wants at the various levels of buying in their decision-making process? And hand in hand with this stage is really conducting a content gap analysis. So taking a look at your website, aligning that with your audiences and their buying process, and really understanding where you are from a content standpoint, what content you need, reevaluating your existing content to see if that's aligned with your goals and the goals of your audience when they come to your website. A content gap analysis also provides opportunities for understanding which topics and types of content you need on your site and where you might be missing opportunities to engage with new leads. Okay, and the second most common question we get is, how can content help me generate leads and sales? Many times when we're engaging with new clients, content is very focused on traffic generation. So integrating with SEO tactics in order to generate quality traffic back to the website. But what many businesses fail to understand is that content can provide a huge resource in terms of generating quality leads and in turn quality leads for your sales team. So the first things we recommend are creating premium content offers to add to your website. So really turning a static brochure-like website into a live, engaging resource for your prospective buyers. So these can take the form of ebooks or tip sheets or webinars or case studies, something that somebody has to provide basic contact information for in order to receive. Content works hand in hand with sales, and we always recommend, especially within content marketing, is integrating with your sales team, because it's not only resources that they can use when talking to prospective customers, but from an analytics perspective, content really tells a story of a lead. So did they come to your website and read a specific set of blog posts? Did they watch a webinar longer than they watched another one? Or what kind of ebooks did they download it, or emails did they open? Having this kind of access into the leads that come to your website will really create a solid platform for your sales team to use when picking up the phone and calling a lead and really having a quality conversation. What are the most common content marketing mistakes? Not to speak for the whole team, but this is probably something we all hear within our individual specialties. And one of the most prominent content marketing mistakes that we see typically with clients who are currently executing content marketing is that they're writing for their business and other industry professionals instead of their target audiences. So I see this mostly with B2B companies who might be selling a more complicated product or service, and that they're speaking to somebody with the same level of knowledge of their product or service or industry, instead of speaking with their prospects who might be trying to familiarize themselves with what they're offering, the industry as a whole, or really just trying to get some information to make a good buying decision. The second mistake is really failing to repurpose existing content assets. And I'm definitely not saying, copy your content or don't create new, unique content, but most of the time, businesses already have a wide range of content readily available that can be repurposed into ebooks or broken down into blogs, or really even within like an email series or lead nurturing campaign. Most likely you already have a lot of the content you need to repurpose and engage with your audience. It's really about just doing an inventory and reevaluating how that content really connects with your audience. The last is, is not integrating your content marketing efforts with other marketing departments and your sales team. So like I mentioned before, content is critical within the sales process, but especially if you're partnering with a marketing agency and utilizing content marketing, really getting an understand of how those efforts are integrating with SEO or social or PPC and how that all works together to get you closer to your goals.
Here, the next one?
Yep. Okay. This fourth question is, I'm considering hiring an agency for my content marketing needs. What should I look for and what questions should I ask? Really the most important point here is to see if this agency you're looking or considering practices what they preach. So it's important to go on their website. Do they have a blog? What kind of ebooks are they offering? Do they have lead nurturing campaigns? If they're recommending best practices, the only way they can know these best practices is by doing them themselves and measuring and improving over time. So it's really important that that's what you look for up front. The second is really, do they outsource content or is it maintained in-house? For businesses that might have a more complicated product or service that we're writing on, or the industry is a little bit more in-depth, you want to make sure that you're using a writer at an agency that you have ongoing communication with, and that they're quickly becoming an expert in your business, your brand, understanding who your audiences are and your brand's voice and tone, so it carries throughout all of your content marketing efforts. The third question is capabilities, so understanding what they're capable of in terms of creating blogs or ebooks, designing infographics, things like that. And last, where is the content marketing space going? What trends or changes can we expect? First is I think we'll see a more clients and businesses expecting more comprehensive content marketing strategies. So content that's holistic throughout the entire customer engagement. So when they visit your website, it's generating traffic, converting them into leads, nurturing them into sales, and then even keeping those current customers engaged with your business and staying in front of them over time. So I think it will go beyond just traffic generation and really become more of a holistic strategy. Like I mentioned before, I think ROI will continue to be a really hot topic, and I think we'll see even more tools and methods coming soon that will allow us to measure the ROI of individual content marketing efforts, so we can really see down to a blog post or a white paper what generated sales and how much sales. And as we referenced before, mobile strategy. Right now there is some talk about a separate mobile content strategy, or how will mobile integrate with your existing content strategy, and I think that's something we'll hear more and more about and see more and more businesses kind of testing and determining best practices over time.
Great job, Sarah. We did have one comment from Doug Henderson, who mentioned that he did feel, going back to the social, that he absolutely feels that Facebook is the better platform to advertise on than Twitter. So I just wanted to share that from Doug.
Thanks, Doug.
Thank you, Doug.
Yeah, they just have way more data. I mean, they've been around longer, and no one lies on Facebook. I mean, some people will lie, but they're not going to. Most of the time when they check in somewhere, or when they like something, or when they, say they've eaten somewhere or purchased something, they're being genuine, and their opinions are genuine. And so I think it's the rawest form of getting close to a user. Especially now, it's hard for them when they're not actively sure they want to buy something. They don't want to fill out a form. They don't want to give away their info. But Facebook already has their info, so
awesome.
They're kind of trapped there.
Okay, Alex, digital merchandising, sir.
Yeah, thanks, Bill. So guys, I'm going to talk to you here a little bit about digital merchandising, and one of the first things that people always ask is what role does content play in merchandising a site? And I think it has a big role. It's very active. We want it to be motivational. We want to use content to inspire visitors. We want people to come and find the exact sort of information that they're looking for when they reach the site. In addition to that, we want to add in some, very traditional sort of business tactics. We want to use action words like shop and browse and buy, stuff like that. We also want to use timing words, things like now, today, at your earliest convenience, as soon as possible. We want to use those things in a really strategic way, in addition to design elements, to make the content of the site more appealing and drive conversions. We also want to put the unique selling propositions front and center. We want to use that prominent real estate of the page to display the things that really resonate with consumers, the things that make you different than your competitors. So putting the unique selling propositions front and center at different levels of the site and adding business logic into that deployment of content can really help both address, any immediate concerns you have with, a specific business objective or KPI, but also build out the site to be conversion optimized at a holistic perspective. Another question we see from time to time is it better to use stock photography or original photography? Well, kind of playing off the idea of content, we know content is king, right? Uniqueness is rewarded, both from Google and SEO and also from a user perspective. The more unique content you can give, the more authoritative your site and your business is to the consumer. So that extends to photography as well. If we're just using stock images on a home page that someone has maybe seen somewhere else, or God knows what context they know this image from, those things can come into play and kind of muddy the waters of your brand's awareness and identity. So we want to take the time and, it's one of those things where the resources needed to create the original photography can really be measured out in the impact. It's worth it to do the original photography because it adds a human element to the site and exactly what your brand is doing and connecting with consumers. So any chance we get to use original photography, we always want to do that. Another question we get from time to time is, really related to lead generation businesses and using the best form service for capturing those leads. And the short answer is there's no service that's perfect, right? Technology is always changing. You want to choose a service you think is proactive, that's looking towards future optimizations and doesn't make users think in their processes. We want somebody who understands that forms need to be easy to fill out. They can be really intimidating for viewers and users of websites when, sometimes you just want a piece of information and maybe you're not ready to interact with someone yet, or you're afraid of a hard sell. And so one of the things that we want to do with forms is really just make them concise and simple. We don't want to make users think too much. We also, we understand that we can build that persona and customer profile as we go, using different dynamic form techniques and things like that. We can add to this user's profile, but more important in the lead gen business is to get the original lead. From there, we can build more expectations and objectives into the profile. The eternal question now: how can I best convert browsers into buyers online? And that's really a huge question, but it circles back through a lot of the traditional business planning that we want to add into more non-traditional channels like website development and some of the other digital disciplines. It really comes back to the root of understanding personas and your customer and their thought process at different points in the buying cycle. We want to use that to build a path to purchase on the website. We want to say, hey, the ideal customer that is, aligns with these attributes would go to this part of the page and this part of the page and then become a conversion. And while we do that, we want to build that into the site planning and architecture, use any design elements we can to highlight that and make it really easy for users to understand what we want them to do when they get to the site. So, as simple as using a complementary color on calls to action can really make those buttons pop, and then when users go to the site, that's what they're most likely going to click on. And that should in turn get them to either a conversion point or a lower point in the funnel where conversion is more likely. We also want to use trust symbols, and we want to make sure that we're building consumer confidence along the way. Sometimes it's integrating a third-party widget or piece of content that maybe you didn't think of it originally, but it's something that the user was looking at before they got to your site, and then they see that you're sourcing that information. It's from an objective third party, and it's just going to really add to that trust. But it really comes down to leveraging the business logic to reach objectives, and you want to take that traditional approach that you would use in a lot of the other different channels and media to your website and what you're doing online. Talking about where digital merchandising is going in 2015, I think this question is really, really relevant. Will my site be merchandised the same way on all devices? To Bill's point, we see mobile traffic increasing. There's new brands of tablets and dimension sizes for all different types of devices, and that's across the globe. So depending on where you're at, you might be even working with different variations. And one of the things that we do here internally that we definitely suggest moving forward for pretty much any website is that it be responsive. We want the website to be able to detect what device the user is on and then present that information in the most optimal way. So by using a responsive site as opposed to a MDOT site or some other separate app or something like that, we can control that merchandising flow with just coding one time. So it eliminates a lot of additional resources that the older methods didn't, and it allows us to have that business logic across all devices no matter what the user is looking at.
Awesome stuff, Alex. Thank you very much. Last but certainly not least, Amal. Integrated digital marketing.
Bum, bum, bum.
So guys, I know we've thrown a lot of information at you guys in the last 45, 50 minutes or so. So I'm going to keep this pretty brief and high level, and just some top level things that a lot of people have questions around in terms of integrated digital marketing, and just some things I've seen go right and wrong in the space, and just want to make sure that I share some of those questions and answers with you guys. So our first question is something I think someone actually asked at the beginning of our webinar was which form of digital marketing is the most powerful. So there's two kind of short answers to this question. The number one way is that it's not necessarily PPC or SEO or social or web merchandising or content that's the most powerful. the most powerful thing is integration. Really thinking about how all of those things come together is going to make your overall campaign a lot more successful. So we don't want to just do a siloed social media campaign or a Facebook ad campaign, or just be focusing on paid search and not really be worrying about SEO and how that integrates into the overall campaign. But thinking about what's the message, is it consistent in every single thing that I'm doing, is it a fully integrated campaign? Spending a lot less on a fully integrated campaign is going to get you much better results than spending 10 times that in a little bit more siloed different areas. So second question, is it better to spend money in PPC or Facebook ads? So this is something that people ask a lot of questions around. Historically, obviously, paid search and Google has dominated in terms of budget for where ad spend is actually put. But what we've seen a lot, again, in the spirit of integration, is that a small percentage of that being put into Facebook ads is a great way to create an overall integrated campaign. And something that we've seen in a lot of our data, as well as a very recent case study that became very popular, talked about how they looked at hundreds and thousands of campaigns, and they saw that when they had the same amount of budget, but they put some of the budget into Facebook ads, they saw that their overall leads and conversions increased by 30%. So to break that down, make it really simple, instead of spending just $100, they did one test spending $100 on paid search, and then at the same time ran another campaign that was $100 mixed in paid search and Facebook ads, and the one that was mixed actually gave 30% better results. And if you think about the behavior, it kind of makes sense in terms of people searching for specific things on Google and then being served similar ads on Facebook. And people are on Facebook on average of 14 times a day. So just being able to bridge the gap there, make sure that we're following our customers' eyeballs and where they're going. We're making sure that we're really getting in front of them. So what's the number one way my content and messaging and all my tactics can convert? And Alex covered this a lot in our last section. But again, something that I really see a lot is that we do great campaigns in different silos. So for example, a great PPC campaign or a great social media campaign. But what people often forget is the end point. How am I actually thinking about conversion? How am I making it a very, very simple form that's not too long to really fill out and very easy to fill out? How am I making sure that all this great money I put into all these great creative campaigns, at the end of the day, I'm making sure that I'm actually building leads and ultimately building revenue? So this is another one that I get a lot, and the question is, is it still worth having seasonal campaigns? And of course, the answer there is that just because you're doing so many different things on a weekly basis or on a daily basis through social media and SEO and content that you're creating, it's still absolutely worth making sure that that's integrated and has kind of a more seasonal or a quarterly approach to it, so that you're able to measure your longer terms against each other. So, for example, you're able to measure what you did from January to March to April to June, or whatever the time period that makes sense. So ways that we do that is if you think about what your brand is, who you are as a business, what kind of seasonal campaign makes sense for you. Maybe it's something that's specific for the holidays or for the new year, or right now spring is coming, so maybe there's a seasonal campaign it's all about spring, and that's again consistently branded through every single tactic you're doing, whether it's SEO, social, PPC, etc. So this is a really good one. We thought a lot about, we talked a lot about doing so many different things, and people often have internal organizations and they have external organizations like agencies such as Stream that they use. So the question always is that how much should I do internally versus depending on a third-party agency to plan and execute my digital marketing? And there's a lot of different schools of thoughts on this, and I guess it does depend on what your unique situation is. But my real short answer, quick guide to thinking about this is that you really let your agency do all the heavy lifting, all the actual execution, all the tactics, all the kind of work where you really want to put a professional to work and make sure you're getting you're the most bang for your buck. That's where you let all your agency do all the heavy lifting. And really what your internal team, your internal resources should be doing is really doing a lot of the planning and the organizing, making sure that what you're doing as a business actually matches up with what you're doing from a marketing sense and from an agency sense. So really that internal team, whether it's one person or 5 people, really needs to be thinking about, what are the business goals, what's kind of like the business objectives in that quarter, how does it match the overall marketing campaign that we're doing? Are we making sure that we're sharing and collaborating as much information as possible with this agency that I'm spending a lot of money to do all the heavy lifting? So that's really all how we recommend kind of splitting up who's doing what internally and what your agencies do.
Awesome stuff. So we do not have any other questions. We're at about 54 minutes. If anybody has any questions that they want to type in the chat pad, in the GoToMeeting chat pad, feel free to do that now. We have about 5 minutes to answer any of those questions. Did want to recommend that if you're a little bit shy and didn't necessarily want your questions to be answered out in public, you can register for a 20-minute marketing health assessment. Basically, depending on what your question is or what your needs are, you'll get to meet with one of our digital experts here at Stream Companies over the phone, where we can go over your particular problem and see if we can help solve it or get you some sort of resource to help you solve your problem. The link to register for that 20-minute marketing health assessment is below. It's offers.streamcompanies.com/marketing-health-assessment, or you can simply email Sarah at her email below, sarah.deandre@streamcompanies.com, and we'll be happy to help you with any problem or issue that you might have. I know several of you took us up on our offer when you registered for the webinar to schedule a 20-minute marketing health assessment. That's awesome. We always love talking to new people and helping people solve their most pressing marketing questions. So with that being said, I'm going to look one last time for any questions. Since I'm not seeing any, we're going to end today's webinar. Thank you, everybody, very much. Thank you to the Stream panel for all of your hard work. And keep an eye out for the replay of this webinar, which can be found on our website. Thank you, everybody. Have a great weekend.